Welcome to another episode of the Paul Larry Podcast. I am your host, Paul Larry, and today I believe I have some information concerning relationships, marriages, friendships that I think is going to change lives. Um, what I want to talk about is living with someone who is completely unaware of how their behaviors are affecting them. Now, you can be watching this as a couple sitting and staring at each other and being like, that's you, that's you. And you're both correct, you're both right. Um, Living with someone who lacks self-awareness with spouses, there's usually one that's more on that spectrum. I believe as humans, we're all on a spectrum of um, self-awareness. Some of us are high, some of us are very low, but we all deal with it. Now, here's how I believe living with a spouse that lacks self awareness, how do you live in a way that is functional and that is beautiful? I'm not talking about just surviving with that spouse, I'm talking about thriving with a spouse like that. And we both, and remember, it's not just the spouse you're living with that lacks self awareness. You have to realize you're on the spectrum too. You may not be as severe, but we all are. And we need to preface this show with that. No one is completely free of this. But the people that tend to thrive are the ones who are aware that they may lack self awareness in different areas and are willing and ready to humble themselves to admit it and to put in the work to fix it. So here we go. Well, how do you live with someone who lacks self awareness? Stop being their mirror. That goes for both. Unknown caller. Sorry about that, guys. That goes for both. So if you're watching this as a couple and you're looking at each other like, I want you both to look at each other and say, I lack self awareness. Don't point and say you lack more or you lack more. Both own it. And this is how we're going to move forward. Now, if you are with a spouse that's not able to sit down and take this and you are by yourself, it's fine. I'm going to show you how to survive with a spouse who not only lacks self-awareness, but is not interested in putting in the work. Here's the key. The minute we stop being each other's mirrors and stop reflecting back onto each other the things that they lack self-awareness about, that's when change happens. I'll give you guys a great example. In my therapy journey, there's way, if you go back to a few episodes, a lot of episodes back, you will see an episode I talked about where I trigger my wife's triggers and she triggers my trigger, and it's just like we go back and forth, right? Because of my childhood trauma and issues, the way I react and respond, I am the person that have the sense of urgency, the anxiety, the anxious, the let's get it done. I am that high energy, go get it person. My wife is the laid back, relaxed person. My mind races a million miles an hour. My wife is calm and collective. We'll get it done. What happens is when I'm triggered, I come at my wife, baby, we need to do this, we need to do that, and I'm going. That triggers my wife. Now, my wife is in shutdown mode, right? And she shuts down. Now, I feel like I'm being ignored. I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like she don't care. So now I'm triggered into rejection. And because I'm triggered in rejection, I'm acting out. And because I'm acting out, it's triggering my wife. And we're these two mirrors with negative light bouncing back and forth, just negativity, negativity, negativity. And each trigger is activating something else. My wife shuts down. I'm rejected. Rejection, I'm angry. Now I'm angry. Now I'm speaking to her in a way that's like cold. Now she's ignoring me and rolling her eyes, and it's horrible. In therapy, once I learned and discovered and became self-aware of how I affected my wife, we unpacked that in conversation and realized how we were triggering each other. Now, with that communication, and this is going to be the key. If you're watching this as a couple, this is going to literally save your marriage. Communication and vulnerability. My wife now, when I am anxious and she understands where it's coming from, she understands I'm triggered, I may be manic. She has this way of coming up to me now and just touching my arm and saying, baby, it'll be okay. Okay, I got it. She stopped being a reflection to when I come at her and giving me with the response that then triggers my trigger. Now, here it is. Here it is. It gets deeper. When she is not reflecting my behavior on me because she's communicating in a way that my trigger isn't activating hers, she's communicating in a way, a loving, understanding way, and giving me that reassurance. Now I'm looking like, wait, she's not saying, Paul, you're triggered. She's not saying, Paul, you're anxious. She's not being condescending. She's not being smart. She would just come up to me and just grab my hand. Or she would just come and give me a hug. Say, it'll be all right, baby. She stopped reflecting my behavior on me, and she's being who she is. She's staying true to her identity. My behavior is not affecting her, causing her to lose herself and reflect back to me what I'm giving. Let's go in the other route. When my wife now is, let's say it's we have all this to do and we have a list of things to do and it's not being done, and then I come with my anxiety and I'm like, and you're there watching TV and we got to get this done and that done, and then now I'm taking her communication, right? And her communication says to me, I don't care about all the things that I got to get done. I just want to watch TV. And now I'm mirroring back to her in a negative light. Now, I take that communication and instead of being her mirror, I stay true to who I am. I'm not letting her trigger cause me to lose who I am. So now I come and I'm like, hey babe, what's going on with the with the things we're supposed to do? I see you laying down watching TV. Are you tired? Now I'm asking her a question, showing that I care and I'm concerned. My communication to her is, honey, are you okay? Are you tired? And she usually will say to me, I have a long day. I'm just done. I'm tired. And you know what I do? I don't let that trigger me into my anxiety. I don't let that cause me to reflect negativity on her. I come alongside her and I reassure her and I'll be like, it's okay. Do you need me to do it? Or it's okay. It'll get done. Give her a kiss. Let me tell you something. It doesn't change automatically, but once you start practicing communicating in between the reflections in a way that one reflection doesn't trigger another reflection, and you stay true to who you are. In other words, your behavior is not going to cause me to reflect back onto you what I think is being communicated. I'm going to stay true to who I am, a loving, loyal, caring husband. I'm going to stay true to who I am, a loving, loyal, caring wife. And if you lack self-awareness and you're watching this and you say, that's what I do, let me ask you a question. If I put cameras all around your home, and I give everybody in the world, in the internet, in your church, and at work, access to those cameras in your bedroom, when you're communicating with your spouse, are you going to be proud of what's shown? Is the person that they see, your marriage, is it what everyone else thinks it is? Or are they going to see something different? If there are areas of what I just said that's going to embarrass you, then ask yourself, are you truly self-aware? Because the thing is, we all want to project onto the world who we are as a person or the type of marriage we have. But if that marriage is not what it is on the inside, you really lack self awareness and you're living a lie. I will tell you, as I'm recording this episode, after 20 years of marriage, my wife and I are literally in the best season of our lives. We both talk about how much more we are in love with each other because we literally stopped reflecting and started being true to who we are. Husbands, if your wife nags, according to you, or if it comes off as nags, controlling, you go down the list with me, everything negative is anxious, always coming at you. Let me ask you a question. What's your tone with her? When she comes at you, what's your tone? Are your octaves getting louder? Does the tone of your voice portray something beautiful back to her, even when she's anxious? So I'm going to say something that's going to hit very deeply, men. If our wives are anxious and if our wives are naggy, what is it about us that have our wives so insecure about our ability or the way we communicate? Think about that for a second. I don't care what is it you've done around the house. I don't care what is it you've done for the family. If you have done everything and your wife is still not satisfied or it's not enough, maybe it's not your doing, maybe it's your communicating. Maybe you still communicate out of a primitive form or out of your trauma or out of your stress. Meaning, when she nags, can you still go to her, hold her hand like my wife does with me, give her a kiss and say, baby, I'm sorry if I'm making you feel, if you feel like I'm not able to get it done. I really am tired, but how can we work this out that you feel secure? You got to remember, sometimes one partner just needs a plan. Okay, baby, I cannot take care of it right now. I just don't have it in me. But do you have 5 minutes? Can we sit down and figure out what the plan is? All that spouse needs is to walk away with reassurance that you've communicated the plan. Okay, today I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And then you're probably reminding your wife of my wife does that to me, by the way. I'm the one that comes anxious and da. When she sits with me and say, come, let's talk about this. Calm down, hold my hand. And she doesn't say calm down in a condescending way. So please, guys, don't use those words if you're not doing it lovingly. It will backfire. Hold my hands. And then as she's laying out the things that she has to do, I'm like, oh crap, dang, she has a lot on her plate. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, my bad, I'm sorry. Give her a kiss. But she lays it out and say, but you know what? I put it on my calendar. I got it. Tomorrow I'll do it. I'll give her a kiss and I'll say, thank you, baby. We started communicating, speaking to each other as if there's cameras all over this home and anybody could log in at any time and see the way we communicate. Right? Fellas, are you raising your voice at your wives when you are frustrated? Wives, are you so frustrated at your husband that you are shutting down or treating them in a way that's condescending and sarcastic? If that's happening, I want each of you, if you're watching this together as a couple, to reflect on the communication style, body language, and if you cannot find love, patience, and grace in it, then we all need to self-reflect. Nobody is so perfect on the spectrum that's watching this that you could point at your spouse and say, well, you're worse at it than me. That doesn't make sense. If you both have fault in this. And you know what? Think about what I'm about to say and who I'm about to speak with. If you're both watching this and you're in a place where you're ready to do the work, and you realize, husband, or you realize, wife, I'm responding out of a trigger because this was how I grew up, or this is my mental health issue that I'm dealing with, or my trauma. That's not your spouse problem. They're not your nurse. That's the inner work that you have to do. And when you mess up, apologize. When I mess up to my wife, I said, baby, I'm sorry. The way I spoke to you was out of line. We stop joking with each other in condescending ways because it became habits. And again, if you are a couple watching this, I want you to look at each other and listen to what I'm about to say, because you are in a better situation than the person I'm about to speak to right now. If you are a spouse and you cannot even show this video to your partner, you're watching it alone, because their lack of self-awareness is to the point where they don't even care how they come off. And you're just trying to figure out how to live with them. So for the married couple, you have a blessing that that person don't have. So you better take it and run with it and put in the work. And before I speak to this person who's watching this alone, I want you to apologize to each other. Get on your knees, men, and cry if you have to. Woman, get on your knees and cry and submit to your husband if you have to. Because remember, men, no woman is going to submit to a man that doesn't make them feel secure, heard, and loved. Also, men, no woman is going to be vulnerable to be intimate with a man that does not make them feel the way they felt when they dated. You didn't speak to her like that when you dated. You didn't communicate to her like that when they dated. It was yes, honey, yes, love. So there's no reason why now at this point of your marriage or your relationship that you're behaving that way. You have a choice. And remember, your kids are watching. Now to the person that's watching this by themselves. Let me say this to you. Don't be the mirror. Find your identity outside of that relationship, meaning find who you are and go to God with this. Because when you do, that mirror that they're expecting a reflection, they yell at you or they nag you, and if they're abusive, you need to get serious action right away, whether if you go to someone to get help to get out of that relationship. But if it's just a relationship that you're in that they completely lack self-awareness, the more you find yourself and your identity and you live that, the less you become a mirror, so the less you reflect back what they expect. If they're coming at you in a way that they expect you to reflect back negativity to them, don't. The less you reflect back what they expect, it's going to mess them up in a way that may even actually bring some kind of healing to your relationship. Because it leaves them on the island by themselves, looking like a fool. Imagine me being anxious, coming at my wife, don't care about self-awareness, don't care about changing, and the way I come at her, she still has a smile. It didn't affect her day. She didn't jump and did whatever I say. She still, if she wants to watch TV, she's still watching TV. She's like, I'm sorry, honey, I'm tired of watching the show. I love you. And I'm like, wait, huh? Or she finishes her show and she fixes me dinner, and I'm like, what? I'm expecting you to be mad at me. Like, me personally, next thing I'm gonna do is like, babe, I'm sorry for the way I yelled at you. The minute we stop being a reflection of each other's behavior, change is going to start to take place. And you're going to stop the pointing this way and start looking this way. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Larry. This was advice coming from me from experience in my marriage. Again, if you guys don't know, I'm not a therapist, none of that. I'm a guy that started therapy who's on a break from my sessions right now because of personal reasons. But I've been recording and vlogging my journey in a way, hopefully, that it would help others. So again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Please share this with someone, subscribe, and hit that like button.